Hi guys, my name is Kurv, and today I'm bringing you a Hallowed Sepulchre guide from floors 1 through 4. I've been getting a lot of complaints from my friends that everybody is being bent over and fucked in the ass by this silly fucking mini game with dumb ass traps that can fuck you up 45 times and then it. Some requirements to do this and follow this guide. First will be obviously completing the quest Sins of the Father. After that, you would need a minimum of 52 agility to even start the first floor of the Hallowed Sepulchre. I would recommend you have at least 82 to follow through for floor 4 on this guide that I'm giving you today. I would recommend you have at least 66 thieving in order to be able to search the tombs that will allow you to receive hallowed marks. And in order to get to those tombs, you're going to need a couple of these next ones. You don't need all, however, I would recommend all of them so that way you'll get more marks per hour. That would be 56 construction, 54 prayer, 93 magic, a crossbow, as well as a grapple. Now, you would need to be on the normal spell book as well. Now, getting to the Sepulchre is the next hard part. What you want to make sure is you have the proper Vire set on, and you can either teleport to this location by using the Darkmire teleport, which you can use on the Draken's Medallion upon quest completion, and then you can run north and then east, right here to the Hallowed Sepulchre. Your other option is you can come on in through Mireditch and use this shortcut here, and you can walk right on up over here. Now once you're here, obviously you can go inside. Food, stamina potions, and anti-poisons. You're going to need planks as well as vampire dust, which you can buy on the GE. You will also need nails, a hammer, and a saw. I would recommend a lockpick to reduce failing from looting the tombs, which can poison you, which is why we will be bringing an anti-poison. Because you won't have the Hallowed Ring yet, I would recommend you wear a hit points cape and a regen bracelet. This is obviously not a regen bracelet. I'm putting it there so I don't forget. So you can wear that. However, if you have the Hallowed Ring, you will not need the regen bracelet or the hit points cape, as you won't be taking damage. I would recommend bringing the 93 spell Enchant Zenite, which you will need, and if you have the ability to, go ahead and throw it into a rune pouch. One of the most notable upgrades to do this, which will also speed up your time as well as make sure that you are not dying, is the Hallowed Ring. It is the first buy I would recommend since you will be spending so much time here, and I'll go over what to replace that with. It's very basic. You're going to want full Graceful on, that grapple and the crossbow, a Ghostspeak amulet if you'd like to talk to a spooky ghost that will pop up to troll you, and a Ring of Life. Now, like I mentioned, if you have the Hallowed Ring, I would recommend you wear that instead. The Ring of Life is only used for an emergency, so I will show you what a normal inventory should look like for you going into the Hallowed Sepulchre. First, what you want to do is make sure that you have A, your potions, B, the items you need to go through the challenges. So I recommend taking 6 of each of these. And then I would recommend maybe a telly out if you need it. And I would also recommend your food. So if we need to grab some food, we can grab a couple of anglers. Now, because I have the Hallowed Ring, I actually will not need it. One thing I will also recommend you have is a Saradomin item. At the end of each floor, you can pray at an obelisk and activate it, and it will restore your run energy. So I just use the Holy Book, as that counts as a Saradomin item. If you don't want the Ghostspeak amulet, you can bring a Holy Symbol. That's totally fine. But other than that, since I don't need food, I'll just bank those, and we'll go ahead and start the guide. Before we do that, I just want to mention to you guys that there are a couple of things throughout these clips that you're going to be seeing. You cannot boost to go into further floors. And I wanted to also mention that I have a couple of tile markers going on throughout this to show you where to stand. If you'd like, you can go ahead and do that. Additionally, if you guys wish, there is a plugin on RuneLite. If you go into the settings and you scroll all the way down at the bottom of the settings tab, there's something called a plugin hub. And you can type in Sepulchre. And what that will do is it will actually show you the highlighted arrows and swords that are pathed inside the Sepulchre. If you're having a little difficulty with that, go ahead and do it. For purposes of me learning without it, I'm just going to continue to do the guide without that, but I'm going to go ahead and now teach you guys how to get through all of the traps, and then we'll go ahead and get to the harder traps on floors 3 and 4. Let's get into it. So I'm going to explain each trap as we get to them and see them for the first time, and then I'll tell you how to get through that trap in the most efficient way possible. Now, on this floor 1, this trap is going to be trivial for the rest of the Sepulchre. If we take a look at the flames that shoot out, they shoot out for a couple of seconds. Now, if you see what this guy did, he ran and did not commit to the entire run, so he got caught. Now, what you can do is you can wait, click, you can wait, and click if you're feeling unready. However, the trick is to be tick perfect. Now, these tiles, you can mark them if you'd like, but I do want to show you this. If you click like I did there, you can skip the whole trap. Now, my method for these is 1, 2, 3, click. So as soon as the flame comes out, 1, 2, 3, click. You should be able to get through the whole trap. Now, you'll notice the trick here is if you look at the wizards, the fire will still be up, but they'll relax now. And you see how they're relaxed, but the fire's still out? It's not really there. So once they relax, you can run. Watch. 1, 2, 3, click. You see they relax, and you can run. That means you'll be safe at running past the trap. This will come into effect the entire time on this game, so it's important to pay attention. This sword trap is very easy. He throws it. You can either run behind it and follow it, or you can wait for it to go away like I showed you there. For this trap, it's very simple. Look at the statue move and stay out of the lane there. I would make it a habit of just running a couple of tiles and then running through, and you're safe. And we're going to go down to the end of this first floor. Now, we're going to encounter our first broken bridge. This is one of the construction challenges, which you will see will use a couple of my planks. I will walk across it, and I will loot this chest. Now, because I took so much time on this first floor to teach you this, I'm actually unable to loot this chest. If time runs out when you're in a floor, you will not be able to loot a chest. It will say the Hallowed Sepulchre has sealed this coffin, as well as closing the door to the next floor. So because I ran out of time, unfortunately I can't loot the chest, and I can't progress to the next floor. At the end of each floor, when you reach this center platform in front of the door, it will pause the time on the top left, which you'll see in further runs. And this is that obelisk that you can pray at, and it will restore your run energy. But because we can't proceed here any further, we're going to quick exit and receive some agility XP for the floor that we did. I would recommend running over to the bank, grabbing a couple more supplies that you've used, and get ready for another run. I'm going to go through every floor and every trap now, and getting into tips and tricks on how to beat them. This is another floor 1 entrance that you could possibly have. If you see it coming down here, we're going to step to the middle, and we're just going to run. We're going to wait for the next movement, and we can just run all the way through. Now, I don't have any tile markers marked here. This one is relatively simple. It's the same one from the other option. You wait for the relaxation, and you click. Or you count the 1, 2, 3, click. 2, 3, click. And you should be able to make it through without being burned. Now, this is the last one. We'll go ahead and step down. Now, every single thing you should be able to do here, we can grapple on over. This is the other side, as you can see. That's our last run we did. But it all comes to the same coffin. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds left. We got 5 monkfish and a mark. We're going to go ahead and continue back here. And once we jump across this, it will pause the time like I mentioned before in this clip. And now we're ready to take a break activate this here, restore our run energy, and continue into the next floor. Here we have another option for floor 1. I'm going to go ahead and click right there. Once the sword stops moving horizontally, it's actually not there anymore, it's just the animation playing, so that's what's important for you to keep an eye out on. Here, this one's pretty simple. You can either abuse those tiles by skipping all the way, or you can do it the second shot, whichever works best for you. And same here, we're just going to skip across these arrowmen, and we're going to go down to the next portion. We're going to go ahead and fix the bridge. So this is the first option on floor 2. There are a couple of different paths that you can take. You want to make sure you're looking at the crossbows and just stepping away. This is a new portal where if you step on it, it will actually teleport you backwards. So you want to make sure your character doesn't run on that tile. In certain instances, you can run over it. That's just how the game works. Your character actually moves 2 tiles at once. So we're just fusing these 2 together. Now we can either run straight through, or we can wait on this tile there that's marked safe, as the sword won't hit you on the way back. And moving forward into the first sacrifice at the Saradomin Brazier, we can go ahead and use 2 Vampire Dust and our 54 Prayer to get in here and search for traps. The lockpick as well as the antidote will help us here, as it will make sure that we do not get smacked by a 2 from poison. And then we're going to continue on. Moving forward onto this floor, you can see that we are actually going to have a couple more arrows being shot at us, and that's the end of the second floor. So we're going to go ahead and move here. You want to make it a habit of clicking just a couple of tiles in front of your character, or else then the game will not register your movement. And then we'll move on. On this option for floor 2, we're met by a couple of flamey boys, which you can do the 1, 2, 3 method, wait for them to relax, and then you can click. Now that obviously comes with practice. It will take a little bit for you to understand the 1, 2, 3 and to get the timing down. However, it is relatively easy. Now this is something I want to teach you. The way the game works is your character will run towards a mark and then diagonal. So for example, let's say I want to walk here. If I click here, my character will run straight at it, and once it's at a diagonal, it will step over. So I'll show you here. If I click here, my character will wait till it gets here to go diagonal. This is bad because let's say I were to click here, it will take too long for my character to move. So let's say I went like this to move out of the way, I will get shot. So you want to make sure that you're clicking just a few steps away from your character to ensure that the game is responding on your input quick enough. So if we were to get shot here, we would step over and it will happen quicker. Now here you want to avoid these, as these traps can send you in front of these arrows, so we want to run over them. And you can kind of just brute force these portals. You're met with a Saradomin Brazier here, so you can go ahead and do this. Use your Vampire Dust, search for traps, get your hollowed marks, and then proceed down here. Now, each floor technically has 2 levels to it, so we're getting to the bottom level of floor 2. Now, this is the same thing. I have a couple of marks placed. You can go 1, 2, 3, and you can run it on over here. And 1, 2, 3. and you can run on over here. Now it's very simple. Some will do it and some will not. I have no marks here, as you can run the full way through. 1, 2, 3. Now these ones don't relax, some others do, but that is it for this option for floor 2. Here's another option for floor 2. It's relatively simple. You're going to go ahead and jump across this platform. You're going to be met by an arrow trap, which we've seen multiple times by now. I'm just going to go ahead and run past it, move to the safe line, and continue on through. Here, we're going to go ahead and just click on through. Now we don't want to miss this pillar, so we're going to go ahead and step over to the south here and grapple across, grab some loot, and then grapple back across, and then head down to the lower level of floor 2. Now on this lower level, what you're going to be met by is one long pillar of just the portals, so you can just click through here, which is relatively simple. And then you're going to be met by just a couple of the traps, which you can do your 1, 2, 3 click method and get all the way down through here. And once that's done, that's another option for floor 2. This is the last option for floor 2. This one is relatively simple as well. We're going to go ahead and wait for this sword to come back or leave and just make sure we don't get hit by it. One click and we'll keep going. You can see as that sword stopped moving side to side, that is when you can move, as you won't get hit by it anymore. You can go ahead and swoop over and get this quick grapple. You can fail these obstacles. If I tried to grapple back, there is a chance of me failing, and it will make me lose time. But what you can actually do is get the Hallowed Grapple for 100 marks at the store upstairs, and that will reduce your chances of failing. We're going to move forward here. The rest of this floor is relatively simple. We're just going to go ahead and power through these portals. You can just spam click those to brute force it. And for these, you can go ahead and skip across here. And then here. Downstairs, there's just one more sword that you can maneuver around. But other than that, that is it. It's on its way back, so here we're just going to go ahead and click. And that is all the options for floor 2. And now we're on floor 3, where things get a little bit trickier. It's the same trap, there's just 2 being shot at once. So you're going to watch and see whichever one doesn't shoot, and we're going to wait, and we're going to move to the middle, and that is as simple as that. Right here, there's actually a grapple, so you don't want to miss this option of getting these marks, because as you get to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor, you'll actually get a higher amount of marks and better loot as well. So we'll grab 2 marks there and an adamant 2H sword, and we'll go over here. Now this trap will always be difficult, and it's important that you learn how to do it. So your 2 options are, 1, if you're ballsy, stepping here and being tick perfect to run through the entire trap, or the other option is wait for them all to fire off, and then you can run to the center, and then these are the 2 safe tiles here, and then you can leave. And that's pretty much it. This trap here is a combination of those portals as well as the sword. However, if you look at these blue portals, they will actually teleport you forward and give you a second of invincibility. So right there we have an invincibility frame that the sword won't be able to hit us. The other option is to just run through it. Now here, you might get hit by those, but sometimes, or most of the time, your character just runs through it. We're met by a couple of more arrow crossbowmen here, and we should be able to just run right by this. Sometimes you get lucky, and that's all that happens. This is the same thing, but it's combined with one of our loot traps, or one of our obstacles, in order to get a chest. You can conjure this portal and loot here, but for some reason, I guess I can't. So we're just going to go ahead and leave. And then we're going to move on down. This is one of the hardest traps, and you will always have this trap at the end of floor 3. So I'm going to go in depth with this trap now. The way this trap works is you have a flame phase, as well as you have a staggering crossbowman phase. Now, You can obviously interweave between all of these. However, these mages alternate hands. So they'll fire on this side, and then these ones will fire on this side. So the trick here is we want to abuse being tick perfect by running through to the center portion and then running through to the end. Here we're going to utilize the 1, 2, 3 click method, as well as making sure we're in the proper lane. I would allude this entire chamber as a gun. We are going to be the bullet. So let me explain. You want to make sure you're on these tiles after this one shoots. So we want to be here on the safe tile, right? You see how we're on the safe tile here? Now it's not safe when this one shoots, as we could get shot by it. But if we're here when this one shoots, we go 1, 2, 3, click. Once that relaxes. And now we see we have to run over here. 1, 2, 3, click. And you should run straight through, and that is it. That will take a bit of practice. However, I do believe personally that that is the best way to get by this trap. The 2 dots there on my tile markers are in front of those columns. Those are 2 guaranteed safe spots away from the arrows. However, you want to definitely run to this, which is mimicking this. So that way you can properly click across the entire way. This will take some practice. I'll play that clip back in slow motion. So as you can see here, I'm going ahead and I'm stepping into the proper lane that I've marked, as well as making sure I'm not going to get shot by a crossbowman. I can't outrun the arrow, so I take a step over and I count 1, 2, 3, click. Now sometimes you might have to skip the 1 and you might have to 2, 3, click, but that's okay as long as you don't get shot by the arrow. You want to get to the bottom part of the T to make sure you step out of the arrow's way, so that way you don't get hit. And then here at the end, you can still get hit by the arrow and get sent back, so make sure you get out of harm's way before you step to the side. That's it. I'll go ahead and show another clip at the end of the next level 3. Here we have a new option for floor 3. This is the other option that you can actually have. These ones are very easy. They actually alternate. If the middle one is going, you want to step right before it, and you're just going to step on through. No need to count the 1, 2, 3, as this one is very easy to get by. For this one, you can either run like this gentleman did once the sword went back, or you can click over here and run once the sword gets thrown. This trap is difficult for most people on this floor. However, remember, the portals won't kill you, but the arrows will. So, just keep an eye out on your lane and just click. You want to make sure that you're stepping to the side. Now see, that portal did teleport me forward. The trick that I like to use is not step on the portals at all. So I always like to walk before the portals and then run forward. So I'm just staring at the portals here and making sure that I step in the proper tile so that way I don't get hit. And then we advance. Here we see we'll be clear, and that one was just thrown, so we're going to go ahead and run all the way. Now, it looks like I got hit, but because my character was actually moving so fast, I didn't. Reaching some lag here, but you want to step there and then run through. That one's pretty easy. The first 3 will fire. You stand on that tile, and then you run through there. And then we get to that hard task once more. We're going to go ahead and try this again. Here we're getting trolled. You dare defile this place. This treasure does not belong to you. But I still got some treasure. So that's what the Ghost Speak amulet will do. If you don't, the ghost will just say rah, 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 basically. So I'm going to walk you through this once more. We have these tiles marked. We have the 2 safe tiles marked so we know where to click in case we're panicking. But we want to click for this portion of that upside down T. Now, I guess this direction it looks like a D. Wink. Haha. Okay. So we're going to want to look to make sure we're on the proper tile. Now it's about to load, so we're going to go here, middle, run. We're going to go here, 1, 2, 3, run. It's as simple as that, and you should get through without an issue. Alright, so here you can see my mouse is hovering over the flame and the purple line that I'm ready to step under. I'm looking at the crossbow and I'm stepping down. Now on some rotations, you're going to see what I have here. You're going to have to step before you run. On this rotation, you'll just run quickly the second you step. That way you know that you're in the right spot. I'm looking back up at the crossbow and I know I have to take a left, and then I can count my 1, 2, 3 click. And then I'm out of there. Be mindful, here at the end of the row, you can still get hit and sent back to the beginning. But other than that, that's the end of floor 3. This is the other option for floor 4. These lightning bolts are introduced and they are meant to be a nuisance. However, we can go ahead and avoid them. We can go ahead and skip through as they will only stun you. Like I mentioned, if that got thrown, we can just run past it and we can utilize those portals to teleport forward or not be hit by the sword. This is the same on the previous floor. We want to make sure that we're just brute forcing this and not getting hit by those arrows. This first panel can actually teleport us back in front of the sword and bring us back to the beginning of the floor. So we want to make sure we step here. And we're just clicking through, making sure we're not actually clicking on the portals to ensure that we don't get one-banged. We're just moving back and forth and we're being calm, focusing on those arrows and clicking in the appropriate location to make sure we don't get sent backwards. We're going to wait for this last shot, take a step to survive the arrows, and then move forward. This trap is very difficult. It alternates flame blasts, so you can see when there's fire there, you want to click there. You will get hit by everything at once. Once you get hit by everything, that's when you know it's been reset. You want to aim for the end of the flame blast and you want to click. 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, the 1, 2, 3. It's the same the other way. You want to focus on that flame blast and click. And then you should be able to get through this with no problem. Now I'm going to go ahead and fail this one, so that way we can go ahead and see from the beginning what it looks like without that reset. Now once they all reset, if you're not dead, you can go ahead and use that 3, 2, 1 to run to this tile that I have marked here. You'll use the 3, 2, 1 to run a couple forward, and then you'll run all the way out after that 1, 2, 3. Now obviously this is a little difficult to do while commentating, but when you focus, that's the quickest way to get through that trap. Here we have another trap with arrows, lightning, and portals, but we're just going to brute force it. We're going to make sure that we're focusing on the arrows and we're just clicking. We're making sure we're stepping in the appropriate location to not get hit, and we're kind of just running. And that's pretty much it. I do believe that that was a little unfair, as I just had to run in one direction, but that's pretty much it. You're met by another conjure portal frame here towards the end of this floor. You can search those traps here, and we can move down. Now on floor 4 here, we have a sword. Scariest one here. You want to just run once it comes back. There's a very iffy chance that you can survive once it's thrown, but we can try that here. Because there's a chance that we need this portal to get by this sword. So I just skipped an arrow and the sword there. And we're just focusing really just on the arrows to run by. And that is the end of this floor, bringing you to the sacrifice at the Saradomin Brazier to loot. And then once you're done with this floor, you can go ahead and squeeze through this bar and claim your XP and restore your run energy, because you will want to jump back in to the Sepulchre. Here is the alternative route for the 4th floor. We're going to count our 3 and run past these mages. We can step forward on this one and run past them. And sometimes we can click this tile. This will most of the time run us right through the lightning, as it happens every tick and a half. Now for this trap, there's only one way you can complete it. The sword has to be back, and you have to follow the sword, from what I recall. I just find to have the highest success rate, so I always wait and spend the time here to guarantee myself getting it right. I take the step, and once my character stops, I'm fit to run through the rest of the trap. This is just a long corridor of arrows, so we're going to want to just take a look and just step a couple of steps ahead. So we're just stepping periodically and moving our diagonals where we need to. Now, that's an instance where you can hit the back of the arrow. That's something I do know that they're looking into. But you just want to take a couple of clicks ahead and moving on over. Just be patient. Take your time. Click when you need to. Just look. This one part I don't like is you can kind of get screwed up by that lag there. as the rest of this floor renders a little too late for my comfort. And then you're going to want to go ahead and hit this bridge. Now this one is relatively easy if you get lucky. When this sword comes back, you just click. Now if you don't get stuck here and get teleported back on that yellow one, you can just run all the way through. I would just recommend you stand there and click the blue and then run all the way through so you don't get hit by one of the lightning bolts or the sword on its way back. And then here, same thing, we're just brute forcing those arrows. We're just taking a step and clicking, making sure we're diagonaling and running in the proper lane. Now you see how we're getting pushed back? We don't care, we're just running. We're staying in the right lane where the arrows are not. And we're gonna wait so we don't get attacked there. We're gonna bounce back to the center, step over it, and here we are now safe. Be careful of this. This will put you right in front of the arrows. And then you can come on in here for floor 4, loot the brazier, and exit and proceed onto floor 5, which hopefully I'll get that guide out another day. Now, I want to first say thank you so much for watching. Based on sheer time of this video already, I think I'm going to go ahead and upload a separate, unlisted Hallowed Sepulchre guide. Just a walkthrough of one normal run, so I'll go ahead and I'll link that here either on screen or down below in the description if you guys want me to walk you through a complete run and what's going on in my head. One thing I also want to mention, I really do appreciate if you guys subscribe, like the video, etc. I know that this is a difficult piece of content, but hopefully with some of these tips you guys will be able to understand it and unlock that Black Graceful. One additional thing, I want you guys to obviously know that currently I will be live streaming as this video goes out, so if you guys want to go ahead and click the link on the screen again or down below in the description, that's twitch.tv/KurvRS. I'll go ahead and be live running some Sepulchre and answering some of your questions. So go ahead and pop over there, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Once again, thanks so much for watching. I've been Kurv, and happy sepulchering. Sepulchering. What the fuck is wrong with me? Now that this video is done, hopefully I can bring you a guide for floor 5.